Zoe, come here. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Good girl. You happy? Have a kiss? Thank you. We'll see how long she stays here. Not long. Hey everybody, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today's gonna be more like sit down chatty podcast style, so feel free to go on a walk, do some chores, grab a cup of coffee, whatever you wanna do here. Today I wanna talk about something that I have to remind my clients of all the time, and it is that everyone is broken. Meaning, no one lives their life completely pain-free. No one is evenly balanced side to side with their strength. No one performs every exercise perfectly. It's just not how we're built, it's not how we function, because we're not robots. We're living, breathing things. And, I get comments all the time under videos talking about how discouraged people are because they have an injury or this is wrong or that is wrong. And your feelings are fully valid. But I also want to remind you that pain or injuries or inconvenience, it is just part of life. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't suck sometimes. It's all about how you deal with it. I've talked about my own injuries on here countless times. I had to stop running because I had foot pain. I had to stop pull-ups because of my shoulder. Just last week, I was teaching a class, and toward the end of it, I don't know what I did. I twisted wrong, or I breathed wrong, and something happened back here, and I felt like someone was stabbing me in my back, and I couldn't work out for 2 days. But the point is, you can do all the right things and you're still going to experience pain at some point. You are still going to get injured at some point. You're still going to get sick at some point. It all comes down to giving yourself adequate rest, recovery, and treatment for what you're going through. I have briefly mentioned this in other videos before, and I figured this is a good opportunity to give a full story time without making this clickbait, because that feels super, super icky for this situation. Just a heads up, we are gonna be talking about cancer today. So if that feels like something that you are not ready to listen to for whatever reason, goodbye, I will see you in the next one. Otherwise, let's jump into it. I also just wanna say really quickly, this isn't gonna be super sappy and emotional. I have fully dealt with this, I've processed it. I just want to really talk about how a surgery that I had, almost 20 years ago still impacts how I move, how I feel day to day today. So when I was 16, 17, somewhere around there, I had a weird mole in my ankle. My mom took me to the dermatologist, they scraped it off, biopsied it, and unfortunately it did come back with melanoma cells in it. Let me preface this with anything dermatological, I don't know, anything about the skin, that is not my wheelhouse. I am a personal trainer. So if I get some of this stuff wrong, my bad. But this is simply my remembrance of this as a teenager, and then whatever I've asked my parents about as I've grown up. So essentially it came back, and it came back as something called an atypical Spitz nevus. No clue what that means, but they also said that there were melanoma cells in it. Honestly, the word melanoma did not freak me out as a kid, that freaks me out now. As a kid, what freaked me out was they said I had a tumor in my ankle, and to me, tumor equaled cancer equaled you're gonna die. So that was pretty freaky. I'll show you my scar at the very end of the video because it's kind of wild looking. Just one of them, because I actually have 2 incisions. So I had to get the tumor and the melanoma removed from my ankle, but basically where it sat along my lymph flow, they were nervous that the melanoma cells had spread up into my groin because you have lymph nodes up here. So they recommended also getting some lymph nodes removed. We were kind of hesitant about this. Just an ankle surgery into a surgery up here felt very extreme, but the doctors did really recommend it. So we ended up going for it. And spoiler alert, this incision had no issues whatsoever. So fast forward, day of the surgery, I guess I'm 17. I was a junior in high school. And we had to go to the hospital, and basically to figure out which lymph nodes to take out, the doctors had to insert this dye into where the tumor was. And then I went into this machine, and basically it could pinpoint which lymph nodes the dye had traveled to. So I remember they injected it into my ankle, and it felt like a really cold bee sting. And I could feel it going up my leg. It was so freaky. And then I don't know, however long later, they put me in this machine, and they could literally see where the dye had traveled to. And so they marked which lymph nodes with a marker on my body, and they ended up taking out 3. I don't really know if that's a lot. If you know more about this stuff, let me know below. I've done no research on this video because this is not my wheelhouse. I'm literally just sharing my experience. So anyway, I go into surgery, they take out the tumor, they take out the 3 lymph nodes. Let me tell you right now, if you think I am type A as a 34-year-old adult, you did not meet 17-year-old Justina. Oh boy, she was a pain in the ass. I was just such a Little Miss Perfect. I didn't drink, I didn't do drugs, I didn't, party, I did nothing. I was like the perfect kid. It was very annoying. So I come out of anesthesia and I have no control over my body, which as an adult, I'd probably be like, yeah, cool. Like, let's lay on the couch and watch Below Deck and be kind of high. Like, you know, I'm a much more relaxed person now. But at 17, never done a drug in my life. Oh boy, I was freaked out. And I just remember I kept saying to my mom, I was like, I just want to go home. I just want to get out of this and I want to go home. So eventually I was able to go home same day. And I remember they gave me Percocet. And my mom gave me one of the Percocet at some point. I hated how I felt on it. Again, I felt high and it was such an unfamiliar experience to me and I didn't like not feeling in control. So I didn't take the Percocet. And I remember that first night, my mom let me sleep in the bed with her. My dad just like slept somewhere else. And I woke up in the middle of the night because I thought my leg was on fire. And that's just like a surgical wound and you're taking ibuprofen. So I don't know what I did. I think I did end up taking the Percocet. I don't really know. But just to be said, like, it wasn't just like a cut. It was like nerve damage, digging out from my ankle. Again, this incision, perfectly fine. From my knee down, I felt like my leg was falling off and rotting off my body. So I literally don't remember how long it was until I like got back up and went to school. But the weird thing about my ankle incision was that it was horizontal rather than vertical. I'm not gonna show you just yet, but it like lays right here rather than here. And not a surgeon, I don't know why they couldn't do it vertical. A lot of times when you see like Achilles and like just like ankle incisions, they're usually vertical because when you start to walk, it's not gonna like tear open. But because it's this way, and then my ankle's doing this, it tears open. So I honestly don't think that I got very good care post-surgery in terms of, well, what am I supposed to do? Because I was literally given two options. I was given the option of, oh, you can like completely immobilize your ankle for like a month, but then you'll have a lot of atrophy. And at the time, I was a dancer, I was in theater, you know, I was considering going to school for something like that, which I didn't, and then I inevitably did, but I guess that's a topic for a different video. So I think like in their eyes, like that option wasn't very good because they knew my lifestyle, which I do appreciate. But option two was like, walk on it to keep the muscle, but then you're gonna keep ripping open this incision, which is exactly what happened. My daily maintenance was I would have to take in this open wound where you could see into my fucking leg, distill water to clean it, wrap it with like gauze and then an ace bandage. And then by that point, number one, my foot was gigantically swollen because of the surgery, as was my whole leg. Number two, I had an open surgical wound. So I went to a Catholic high school and we had a dress code. I remember I had to walk around like with one of my Mary Jane flats and then like one slipper. And I didn't need crutches. Like I could kind of walk. I had a weird like gimpy limp. I was just doing this weird half and half walk where like I was trying not to rip open the wound, but I was also trying to keep mobility in my ankle. So stupid. Someone should have given me more guidance. By the way, the biopsy came back of the lymph nodes because that's why they wanted to take them out. Perfectly healthy. Nothing had spread there. None of my blood panels, none of my x-rays showed that the cancer had spread anywhere else. So they were like, we don't need to do radiation. We don't need to do chemo. Like, you're good. So very, very lucky, which is also like, side note, why I don't really like identify with being like a cancer survivor personally, because I have had and currently have people in my life dying from it who are going through way worse things. And I'm not saying that my experience doesn't matter, but I personally don't identify with that as like a marker of my being. More so, it's like, I had a surgery that fucked up my leg for the rest of my life. It happened to be to remove a tumor, right? Again, if you have the exact same experience as me and you advocate as a cancer survivor, I respect that. I just simply don't. And that's that. Anyway, my recovery at this point is simply trying to get this wound to heal. And at one point, like I had to go in and they like take out the stitches, which are ripping through my ankle. And at some point, they just take them out and they're like, it's not healing, so we're just gonna take out the stitches and like, good luck. They just sent me home without any stitches and I had an open wound. So luckily, my mom is a physical therapist and she has a lot of different connections. One of her physical therapist friends, her husband, what does Jim do? I don't really know what he does. Doctor, dermatologist, I don't know. Basically, he had access to this really, really cool cream that you put on and it regenerates cell growth really, really quickly. So she literally was like, yo, Jim, You got something for me? I think they just gave it to us. Maybe we just paid like at cost value. This cream is like thousands of dollars. Probably more now because this was almost 20 years ago. Because the second we got that cream, everything started to heal. Why was I not prescribed that in the first place? Who the fuck knows? So my ankle incision finally heals. Unfortunately, my strength is terrible. My mobility is terrible. I have lymphedema in my leg because I'm missing lymph nodes now. I still have it today. It's better. But fast forward to today. I've had random injuries and issues, especially on this left side, for years. I do specifically remember in high school, like after I had healed, I was in tap class and I fractured my foot because I had such little mobility in my ankle. I was like slamming my foot down. And so I fractured my foot. I've had a lot of back issues, postural imbalances, and not until I actually went to my most recent physical therapist, who I did a video with right here. He's amazing. If you're in New York City, definitely go see him. But looking at how I stand, looking at how I walk, specifically looking at my ankle and my foot, a lot of my issues go right back down to it. And it's hard to pinpoint like this one thing caused all these issues, but we also have to remember that the whole body is connected and the whole body works as a unit. So if there's one issue in the chain, it's gonna start to present itself elsewhere along the chain. To this day, it's almost 20 years. It's 18 years later, I still have nerve damage on this side. Certain parts of my ankle, when you touch it, no sensation. A lot of times at night, I will get like a twitchy foot. Kevin actually told me one time, years into us like dating, I think he waited till we were married to tell me. And I was like, I didn't realize that happened. I told my mom when we were taking like a girls' weekend together and we shared a bed, and she was like, Justina, I thought there was a squirrel in the bed in the middle of the night. Your foot was twitching so bad. I still do get swelling on this side. We call this one my fat foot because it is always just a little swollen. I have very, very limited mobility, specifically through my big toe, which is something I'm always trying to work on. I will constantly say to Kevin, I'm like, I think my toe's broken, but it's just because that whole foot gets out of alignment easy. It doesn't function super well. My ankle mobility is really poor on this side. And now that I know this, it's all stuff I've been working on for the past few years. But I tell this story for two reasons. Number one, it goes to show you that even professionals are not perfect. Even professionals go through injuries and pain and things that are kind of chronic, that stick with them for a long time. And number two, I think it's a fun story time. I mean, not like fun, not like yay fun, but just like a unique experience that has definitely informed me as a human. Again, I really didn't want to make this like clickbaity, like cancer clickbait. That feels so messed up. So that's why it's kind of hidden in this video. So if you clicked on it, you're welcome. Do we want to look at my scar? It's not gross. It's just like weird looking. Let's look at it. Oh, my legs are a little hairy, sorry. And I cut myself shaving. So it's definitely faded now. I also was wearing a sock. There's a lot of lines here, but this is my incision. So it goes from here to here. And all of this stuff in the center is where the scar ripped. So you can even see little like divots and lines. Those are the stitches tearing. And this whole thing in the center is just a ton of scar tissue. So, you know, in a perfect world, it would just be one straight line, right? And that's what the incision on my groin looks like, which we will not be showing you. But yeah, I always say it looks like a shark bite. This right here was another mole that popped up that I did get biopsied, completely normal. We were nervous because it was in the same spot, but now I just have like a fun little ugly scar right there. That's my little ankle scar. We're trying to get the camera up again. Great. I guess that's it. Let me know if you have any questions below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out, and I will see you all in the next one.